This week is going to be a little unusual compared to the other weeks in the course because we don't have a set of topics to go through per se. What we're going to do is review this guy right here, the specific study guide, and you'll find it up in your course resources section. Now let me talk about this guide a little bit. First of all, let's open it up and take a look at it. What this guide is a set of topics that I know to have been on the MTA in the past, and in fact they're very specific things, so that, for example, if I have BitLocker and then I have prevents unauthorized access to files through whole disk encryption, what I know is that there was a question that either asked something like what application prevents unauthorized access through whole disk encryption, or the question was something like, what does BitLocker do, and then gives you some options. So in other words, I know that each one of these statements, well, not each one, but most of these statements are very specific things that have been asked on the MTA in the past. Now, you only take the MTA once in a lifetime. That means that as it changes and goes out of date, there may be new things that I'm not privy to that have been added. Primarily, I know that Microsoft now says that Windows 7 specific things have been taken out, and only those things that are general between Windows 7 and 10, or those things that are Windows 10 specific, are now in there. Now, when I took this, there was still a lot of Windows 7 information in the MTA. So there are a lot of times in here that I'm going to be showing you both the Windows 7 and the Windows 10 version of whatever the topic is that we're talking about. And we're just going to move all the way through this thing this week. There's only 4 pages, so it looks like a lot, but it's not as bad as you might think. Now, in keeping with my short video philosophy, I'm going to try to keep these all under 5 or 10 minutes. I like to keep them under 5 if I can. Sometimes I go a little bit more. So we're just going to go through the topics until my time here at the bottom is running out, and then I'll stop that video and we'll move on to the next video for the next topic. So that's how we're going to run this thing. So the first topic here is 32-bit applications, and that 32-bit applications will run on a Windows 64-bit edition. Now, the rule of thumb here is that for any given edition, the previous size bus will run, applications will run on that edition. So in other words, if you had a 16-bit version of Windows on a 16-bit computer, you could run 8-bit applications or 16-bit applications. If you have a 32-bit, you could run a 16-bit application or a 32-bit application. If you're running a 64-bit, you can run 32-bit applications and 64-bit applications. Now, this means that you cannot go back farther than that. So in other words, on a 64-bit computer, you cannot run 16-bit applications. The other thing to note here is that there's a difference between a 64-bit computer physically and a 64-bit Windows. You may have a computer that is a 64-bit computer, but only have a 32-bit version of Windows on that computer. So if you had a 32-bit version of Windows, you should be able to run 16-bit applications, as far as I know. I've never actually tested that. So we are assuming here that the version of Windows is the same as your physical machine version. That if you have a 64-bit operating or 64-bit computer, that you're running a 64-bit version of Windows. But it is possible to run a 32-bit version of Windows on a 64-bit machine. And as I said, I'm not sure then if you can run 16-bit applications. I believe you can, but it's always one less than the version of Windows that you have. A&P is appearance and personalization, and this you'll find on the desktop, if I right click somewhere on the desktop here and go down to personalize, this is the personalization, appearance and personalization. Let's also do this on a Windows 7 machine. So I have a virtual Windows 7, and I'm going to right click and go down to personalize, and it looks a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing. This is where you have, and let me go back to the Windows 10 one again. You can set the background, you can set colors, that is to say the colors of these title bars and so forth. The lock screen, you can set what lock screen you want. And then themes. Now themes are a combination of backgrounds, sounds, colors, and cursor. So you can set a theme and set all of these other things all at the same time. So those are the primary things here under personalization. And let's go back here. Appearance and personalization is where you would change the display resolution in Windows 7. Now, I don't believe that that's true here in Windows 10, that we could set the resolution here, background colors. See, I don't see resolution here any longer. So I don't know that you'll actually see this question during the MTA. However, in Windows 10, in order to set resolution, you would go down here to Start, and then up to Settings, and then we need to get back here, up to Settings, and then System and Display. And here's where you would set resolution in Windows 10. So it's no longer true that you would set it in the appearance and personalization. Now in Windows 10 you would set it here in Settings and then Display. Alright, I think we'll cut this one off here and we'll pick it up on the next one. We'll pick up the Action Center.